Hi, my name's Cadmus. I'm a Law of Assumption content creator as well as a reality shifter, and this is Princess NASCAR. She's so adorable. Okay, I feel the need to share this take of mine. There's an infinite amount of realities out there. There's a reality out there where I didn't decide to pick up my cat and put her on my lap. Me personally, in my opinion, a lot of this is opinion. A lot of the things on Shift Talk and other places where you get your shifting content is opinion and is taken out of context. I personally don't think that you are shifting constantly by making decisions. I think obviously you are in a timeline, but that there are parallel realities where like the only thing different in my life is that I picked up the cat. Or in another reality, the only thing different is that I have $1 more in my bank account. When we talk infinite, we are talking infinite, not drastic. Yes, there's drastic, but there's also not so drastic. There are realities out there where the only difference is that that person that passed away in your life never passed away. It's that kind of thing. Which leads me into today's topic. A lot of people say, oh, you have to like your CR in order to shift, you have to like your original reality, you can't use shifting as escapism. I don't believe that. I know that is other people's opinion. And they can state it sometimes as fact, which gets confusing. That is not going to prevent you from shifting. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get out of this reality. However, I do offer another perspective. Up until recently, during my whole shifting journey, learning about shifting, attempting to shift, having mini shifts, shifting for the first time, shifting consecutively, all of it, up until like the beginning of this year. I have always used shifting as a means of escape, and I believe that is because I shift to such drastically different places, like TV shows and places that just do not align parallel with the reality that I'm in now. I had a huge shifting break that lasted probably 3 months at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and it kind of changed my perspective on things. In my original reality, I wouldn't say going through it, but I was busy. I had college, I had a job, I just met my current boyfriend, I was hanging out with friends, I was trying different medications to fix depersonalization and trying to find out what's wrong with me. All these medications I was trying, they were giving me insomnia, so I was like sleep deprived constantly, irritated constantly, didn't want to do anything. I wouldn't say burnt out, but being torn in too many directions. Shifting was not at the top of my priority list. While taking that shifting break, I came to so many different conclusions, realizations, different perspectives that have changed how I shift now and how I view it and how I view my original reality. And I feel it is my duty to share that with you. Again, it's opinion, and most of the things that I state as opinion is due to my own experience. It's never to be like, well, I think this, and you need to take my words as law. It's just offering something for you. So, with that being said, I believe a lot of people, especially people who haven't shifted yet, do heavily rely on their escapism aspect of shifting to the point that it becomes almost fictional in their brains. I know I struggled with that until I shifted for the first time. And the first time that I shifted wasn't to I'm going to explain it real quick. I was going to say it wasn't to a TV show. My intention was not to shift to media, it was to shift to a parallel reality. I think it made it more real for me. However, I did accidentally shift to Black Summer, my first time ever shifting, and then the second time was like a parallel reality, but it wasn't the one I was trying to get to. With that being said, that's another thing. You know what? I'll make a video about my first shifting to Black Summer, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in a previous video, but still, I have things to say about that and the trauma aspect. But to get back on track, I do think the escapism kind of makes it less real in your brain, and it starts to just become your own media, your own fan fiction, your own book, your own daydream. Now this past year, with a lot of my shifting experiences, I've come back with different clarities. I had always shifted for like friends or fun things or experiences, and it was never like really realistic. I'm an author, so I script to high heaven. I have had traumatic events happen in other realities. However, it wasn't until I shifted to Gotham where I really truly was like, I knew it was real, obviously. I believe in the multiverse. I don't believe in the consciousness theory, though, however, I'm not real educated on the consciousness theory, so I don't exactly know what all that entails. After living in Gotham for that year and then shifting back here, I had to reevaluate how I view shifting as somebody who shifts. It was a bad call on my end, shifting there. Shifting there in general, the person I shifted for, and then I didn't script anything. I didn't script safety, I didn't script anything. I was just like, let's just let it flow. Dumb. So anyway, with that, little tidbit, this shifting break that I took, I didn't consume any shifting media. I wasn't on Shift Talk. I wasn't actively trying to shift. I wasn't doing subliminals or meditations or scripting or even watching the media that I wanted to shift to. I quite literally was just living like the normies, like the people who don't know about shifting. I was just kind of enveloped in this reality, in this current reality. And I realized that there are good things about this reality. Up until then I had always kind of seen shifting as escapism, as if this reality is a prison or something. And I want to say, I mentioned the multiple infinite amount of realities thing to circle back to this point. This reality, this current reality where you found shifting, is not a prison. And it does not work differently than the rest of them out there. You don't have to shift to another reality. I say this lightly. Let me use an example. I would say you don't have to shift to another reality to experience what you want. However, I know, some things don't exist here. But we'll use relationships. You don't have to shift to a different reality to be in a relationship and have the man or woman that you desire and all the qualities that they have and yada yada. Shifting and law of assumption go so hand in hand that they are the same thing. And if you do your own research on that, you will come to that conclusion. And if you apply the principles of law of assumption to your shifting journey, your stagnation will go away, I guarantee that. Law of assumption, I found that while I was in like a months long shifting slump, I just could not shift for the life of me. And within, I could be wrong because it's been like at least a year and a half since this, but if I remember correctly, within the week after practicing law of assumption, I was shifting. So what I'm saying is manifestation. It's pretty much scripting, right? I mean, there is a manifestation technique called scripting. You just write down what you want. This reality is not the only reality that you can't change, quote unquote, per se. You are not a victim to this reality, just like you are not victim to the other ones out there. And I really realized this because last year during my first semester of college, I had written half-heartedly to the point that I forgot about it, the traits that I wanted in my next partner. I had just gone through a breakup. I want to say this, and it might be a little controversial, but I do want to be transparent. I am transparent. That is my thing when it comes to shifting and having a platform. I can't say that relationship was terrible. It wasn't for me. That man has a lot that he needs to work on. And the person that I shifted for at that time, which I still actively do, had worse traits, but also had better traits. It was almost like this person I was dating in my original reality just kind of was like here at a plateau, like bad things, good things, blah, blah, blah. And then you had this person in this other reality, and it was like, the bad is down here, baby. Carly can vouch. Bad is down here. But then the good was like way up here, and I'm a sucker for those types of relationships. I know you call them toxic and blah, blah, blah. But seeing how I was treated up here, even with the bad, and then shifting back, I realized there's more out there for me. There's better out there for me. And that relationship ended not only because that person in my original reality, I know I'm not using names, I'm sorry, it can get confusing, but that person, it ended because I shift realities. It ended because someone arguably treated me better. I don't know if that's the word for it, considering the lows were lows. But because of shifting, I realized I deserve better. I feel like a hypocrite saying this stuff because of the person I shifted for and how I was treated that first year. But I hope you can understand what I mean. And I came, I shifted back and I was just like, I don't want this for myself anymore. There's more out there for me other than being belittled and having no support and having to regulate someone else's emotions. And just there's so much. So yes, I ended my relationship in my original reality because of my relationship in a desired reality. And if that does not tell you how real shifting is, okay. But to get back on track, because I'm just really yapping today, I'm not sure what that's about. Going through that shifting break, I kind of just had that breakthrough of like, this reality is no different. And I can morph this reality to work for me. What I was gonna say is I wrote down in my notes app after that breakup all the traits that I wanted in a man and what I would stand for and what I wouldn't stand for, and right down to very specific stuff. Very specific stuff. And I was like, God, these are high standards, but you know what? Let it rip. And then I met my current boyfriend, and he meets literally all that criteria that I wrote down in that note in my phone. I manifested that. And that's really where I was like, oh my gosh, like, this reality is so moldable and I can make this reality work for me. I'm not a slave to it. I just can't believe how miserable I used to be as someone who didn't know about shifting. I just felt so hopeless and like nothing was in my control. And it is. It is completely in my control. There is hope. And what's a few years of failed shifting attempts when you do finally shift? Time is not a thing between realities. It's really not. Time ratios don't exist. You could spend your whole life, 80 years, trying to shift, and you shift on your deathbed. That's not a waste of your time. You want to know why? Because you can get those 80 years back. I know sometimes it's easy to be like, I want to give up on shifting, and like, I just don't, nothing's working for me. Do you really want to give up? Like, whatever, think of whatever you want right now, and not shifting. Don't think of shifting. Think of whatever you want right now. Whether it's money, an SP, a degree, a car, friends, experiences, a house where you want to live, where you want to move, whatever you want for the rest of your life. Anything. And you're going to give up on shifting, which can give you that. Anytime you go in the store and, I want that, but I don't have the money. Shifting can get that for you, so why are you turning your back on it? Do not give up, please. Do not give up. This brings me kind of to wrapping it up here. I talk a lot, and it's not always organized, so thank you for sticking it out here. I almost want to say this is a fact and not opinion. Your current reality, original reality, whatever you want to call it, should be seen as a desired reality. What does that mean? That means scripting. That means manifesting. That means not rotting away in this reality because you could be somewhere else. Take care of yourself here. And that's not me saying, if you don't, you won't shift. What I'm saying is, I am offering you an avenue to feel better. It also, in my opinion, equals out the pedestal, because you're not seeing your desired reality up here and your current reality down here, and it's just so terrible here, but up here you get everything you want. Level it. Bring it to you. You want an example of manifestation other than the one I just gave you? To test manifestation, to make sure I was doing it right before I went after bigger things, there's this friend I have. His name is Avery. I met him in the summer of 2022, I want to say. We're not best friends, but we are good friends. The type of friends where like you could see them 2 years from now after not speaking and you're just back where you left off. It's never weird between us. It's never, at the time, it's weird. We don't talk. We don't talk often, but we will check up on each other every few months. Usually like 5 to 8 months go by before that happens. It had been like a long time. It had been months since I had talked to him, and I'm like, this is a good connection to practice with. So I just, said, Avery's gonna text me in 24 hours. And there's gonna be a smiley face. I didn't specify if that was like an emoji or whatever, but I'm just like, yeah, he's just gonna text me and there's gonna be a smiley face somewhere in there. 24 hours. And then because I wasn't so attached to that, I just let it go and I didn't think about it again. Went to work, left work, woke up the next morning, there's a text from Avery, and there was a smiley face in it. And I was like, all right, Miss Girl, I did that. And then here recently, weird thing, I love the musical artist Corbin, used to be Spooky Black. Love him. He's my favorite artist ever. I just love him. He has not went on tour or done like live shows since 2017. Hadn't come out with an album since 2021. And I'm like, this man's in retirement. He's gone. Fuck. So I spent a lot of time in, I think it was 2023, manifesting that he in April is going to drop an album. In April, he's dropping an album. And then May, he's going on tour and I'm going to see him and do a meet and greet with him. And I was like, yep, that's what's gonna happen, that's what's gonna happen, that's what's gonna happen. Then I just let it go. And it didn't happen April or May of 2024. But it did happen April and May of 2025. Just last Wednesday, I went to his concert. I was literally front row. Saw this man with my eyes, a few feet away from me. And then there was no meet and greet scheduled, so I'm like, I started to doubt. I'm like, no, we're gonna persist. I'm here for a reason. All this happened for a reason. Why wouldn't the rest of the manifestation come through? I flipped my thoughts. I didn't cave into that doubt. I met him. Do you really think that's coincidence? And that's another thing. I didn't specify what year. So yeah, no, it didn't happen in 2024 like I wanted it to. But I did let it go and I forgot about it and it happened. This reality can work for you. It can be molded. It's not a prison. And I just want you to understand that because it will make your life better. I am telling you what to do. This is not opinion anymore. This is something you need to do. If you want to be happy, I don't know. I just didn't realize how badly I was treating myself in this reality until I did. Until I enveloped myself in only this reality and wasn't trying to shift and I realized, there's some things I need to change around here. That's the tea. I'm gonna shut up now. Thank you for listening. I will see you next time.